Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. I'd really love that if you're returning. How you doing? Grab your coffee. I'm drinking tea. Green tea with elderberry. It's really good. I love it. Anyway, grab a snack. Let's get into it. You know the drill. So, these gas prices that we're seeing, these gas prices came out of Pennsylvania, okay? And talk about crazy. Diesel is up to $6.29, all right? Now, the prices here in Florida, they're the same, all right? Unleaded $4.55, premium $5.10. So, yeah, and this is at a gas station called Valero, Valero. So, here you go. All right, so listen to this. A subscriber saw this document that was posted on May 26th at 1:40 p.m. and she wanted to share it. She said, newly disclosed documents have shed a crack of light on secret executive branch plans for apocalyptic scenarios. Why do we prep? Okay, it's not just for, various reasons. Okay? Like, and this is in the article, like aftermath of a nuclear attack. Swear. Okay? Now, when the president may activate wartime powers for national security emergencies. God help us all if he does that. Until now, public knowledge of what the government put into those classified directives, which invoke emergency and wartime powers granted by Congress or otherwise claimed by presidents, has been limited to declassified descriptions of those developed in the early Cold War. In that era, they included steps like imposing martial law, rounding up people deemed dangerous, and censoring news from abroad. What's going on right now? What's going on? Okay, yeah, that's exactly what's happening, okay? Now, it has not been made clear what is in the modern directives, okay, known as Presidential Emergency Actions Documents, because under administrations of both parties, none have been made public or shown to Congress. But the newly disclosed documents, which relate to George W., his administration efforts to revise the draft orders after the attacks on 9/11, they offer some clues. Now, several of these files provided to show that the Bush era effort partly focused on a law that permits the president to take over or shut down communications networks in wartime. Now, that suggests that the government may have developed or revised such an order in light of the explosive growth in the 1990s of the consumer internet. Now, underscoring how little lawmakers and the public can infer, another file from the summer of 2008 mentioned that Justice Department lawyers were revising an unidentified draft order in light of a recent Supreme Court opinion. And the memo does not specify the ruling, okay? But the court had just issued landmark decisions on topics that could relate to government actions in an emergency. one about gun rights in the U.S., another one about the rights of Guantanamo detainees in court hearings, okay? Now, the bottom line is that these documents have no doubt that the post 9/11 emergency actions documents have direct significant implications for Americans' civil liberties. And yet, there is no oversight by Congress, and that is unacceptable. Even though it is unclear how the directives have evolved since the later stages of the Cold War, okay, it is said they have likely expanded to include other scenarios beyond a devastating nuclear attack. And the documents show that later versions extended from one category to 7 categories, although their topics still remain a secret and fall within the jurisdiction of agencies with different areas of focus. Now, the newly disclosed documents show that there were 48 of the directives from the Bush administration when they took office by 2008, and that number grew to 56 when Cheney was in office, when Dick Cheney, when he was vice president, was involved in reviewing and clearing the orders. And the documents do not indicate any consultation with Congress, but several Bush administration officials whose names were mentioned in those documents, speaking on background to discuss matters that remain classified, portrayed the effort as bureaucratic good housekeeping, like the magazine. And it seemed prudent as the government reoriented to focus on national security after 9/11. So, materials were gathered about the presidential emergency action documents, obtained the files under the Freedom of Information Act after the Bush presidency, okay? And the disclosures constituted about 500 pages, while about 6,000 more pages are still withheld and classified. And the disclosures come after the House passed a bill in December that would impose significant curbs on executive power after the Trump years, including a provision that would require disclosure of the emergency action documents to congressional overseers. And the bill, called the Protecting Our Democracy Act, is not expected to pass the Senate, where Republicans can block it with a filibuster. But advocates of imposing some new limits on presidential emergency powers with some bipartisan support are now discussing trying later this year to attach a portion to an annual Defense Authorization Act that is considered must-pass legislation. And it is not yet clear whether the provision about emergency action documents would be included in any such of these steps. But Democrat from Massachusetts, Senator Markey, he drafted the provision as a standalone legislation in 2020, and he said that Congress has an opportunity to bring some accountability to the emergency planning. And he proposed this bill after Trump claimed that he wielded total authority in the early days of the pandemic and declared a national emergency. So, other orders from that era include like a declaration that a state of war existed, a directive to arrange for reconvening Congress at a secure site rather. and the creation of an agency empowered to impose sweeping controls over the economy. That agency has to report to the president. They can enact controls like requisitioning private property and allocating materials, imposing wage, price, rent controls, rationing, and settling labor disputes. Okay. Now, for several years, the Obama era, the Justice Department, they mentioned in budget documents that was submitted to Congress that its Office of Legal Counsel in 2012 had begun to review the legality of the 56 presidential emergency actions documents. In 2017, the Trump Justice Department repeated that reference in its own budget request, after which it fell out of the annual submissions. But the subsequent budget documents have not yet been disclosed what further changes, if any, the Obama and Trump administrations made to them. All right, so that's very interesting. So I wanted to let you guys know about all of that. Okay, so now on to this. A subscriber wrote in, Stormy, stop it. A subscriber wrote in and he said, we live in Alaska, and a group moved out and gave away all types of stuff. To make a long story short, we got a 50-pound sack of red beans, which is 9 or 10 years old. But believe it or not, we cooked it, and it's still really good. Considering the beans were in their original sack, not a mylar bag, oxygen absorber, or a humidity absorber, were used, I was quite shocked. Now, this is a great way to stock for a longer term for people on a budget. This with rice and seasoning is a really great meal. Yeah, it is. That's why rice and beans is like a staple in all of our pantries. He said canned, dehydrated, or freeze-dried meat and seasoning just makes it better. Yeah, you're right. He said also, for people with a wood stove or fireplace, make sure you have a good saw with extra blades, as fuel is questionable at best. You're right. And he said, I bought 2 silky saws, one on Amazon and one from Canadian Prepper. Oh, did you? Oh, that's nice. Okay. He said you need to keep warm during the cold months. For people in hot climates, electrolytes and salt tablets might come in handy. Yes, exactly. I have those in my first aid closet in my pantry there. So thank you very much for writing in. That's awesome. I like your ideas. So this was brought to my attention, and this has to do with diesel and DEF. Okay. And the screenshot that was sent to me says, okay, the email says right off the bat, hospital alert, diesel shortage, DEF fluid. And the screenshot says, for this reason, almost all hospitals have an emergency backup generator. Correct, they all do. Often powered by diesel-fueled combustion engines. A single tank of diesel can maintain power for around 8 hours, in theory, seeing the hospital through a power outage. Yes. And now on to this. Another recall. I know. Don't even say it. But I will say what I always say. Take it with a grain of salt. Do with it what you will. But as always, safety first, right? Now, this is massive. This is going to upset every single one of us. It's bacon. I know. It's coffee, it's chocolate, it's peanut butter, now it's bacon. They're really trying to starve us, aren't they? So, whenever customers or manufacturers discover traces of foreign objects in food and drinks, recalls promptly follow. This is what the article is saying. These can be particles of glass or metal that ended up in the goods during manufacturing. Consumers consuming them can lead to injuries. So, yeah, of course. And this is the bacon that I have in my freezers. Smithfield packaged meats bacon recall. Smithfield bacon recall is massive, and the company has recalled approximately 185,610 pounds of RTE bacon topic products. That's over 90 tons of product that might have been contaminated with bits of metal. And the announcement comes from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Food and Safety and Inspection Service, or FSIS, and the agency expects other products to be added to the recall and urges people to check back frequently so they can view all of the list and the labels. It's Smithfield pre-cooked bacon topping and Golden Crisp pre-cooked bacon topping. Oh, Lord. Guys, okay. I will leave that link in the description box below. Lordy, look who's 40. I was 6 years ago. So, on to this. The Mexican government is encouraging people to grow gardens. They are now going to give away seeds, more access to water. I wish we could do the same lots in HOAs. Oh, well, see, that's the whole reason why it's not good to... I don't live in an HOA. My parents live in an HOA. I see what they go through. No, thank you. She said HOAs don't allow gardens, like where people can't even have vegetable gardens. I know. It's an atrocity. How dare them not allow freedom gardens? HOAs. Hateful. And before I go, Madison County, Ohio. It was noticed that the local Dollar Tree had received a lot of product in. And when someone looked at a couple of items, they noticed things like made in Turkey, made in Germany. This is good, but also means that we are still reliant on products from overseas. No gas equals no trucks coming in. Take that into consideration when buying. Also, a rumor is circulating that Libby's and Green Giant will be shutting down production of canned vegetables due to no vegetables coming in. Take that as you will. It's not confirmed, but... And if you haven't heard, India is supposed to stop extorting sugar. That means go stock up on your sugar if you bake or use it in your morning coffee. Guys. It never ends. All right, I love you. I'll see you in the next one. You stay safe, you stay positive, you keep prepping, and as always, fear less.